All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going over the PowerPoint presentations for Murachs, JavaScript, and jQuery, third edition, as part of the AWD Application and Web Development 1000 Web Technologies class. We're up to Chapter 14 of 18. Chapter 14, as you can see right here, is how to work with control structures, exceptions, and regular expressions. In many ways, this chapter is kind of, for lack of better words, in many ways, this chapter is kind of a miscellaneous type of chapter that's got a bunch of different stuff in it that maybe doesn't go with anything else. I don't know exactly how you'd put that. So, let's get started. We have 8 applied objectives and 8 knowledge objectives. Our applied objectives: use the identity operators in control structures, use break and continue statements in while loops, do while loops, and for loops, use switch statements, including those that use fall through and default cases, use the conditional operator for simple logic requirements, use the and or operators for selections, use try catch to catch errors, create and throw error objects, and create regular expressions, and use them to match patterns and strings. Those are our 8 applied objectives. For our knowledge objectives, describe type coercion and distinguish between the equality and identity operators, describe the use of the switch statement, describe the use of break and continue statements in loops, describe the use of a conditional operator as a replacement for, I think it's an if statement, explain how these short circuit evaluations of the and or operators can be used in selections, and describe the use of try, catch, and finally blocks in a try catch statement. Describe the creation and use of error objects, and finally, describe the use of regular expressions for matching patterns and strings. I believe that this is a chapter where it probably will make more sense. So what I'm going to do here, at least to try to do, is I'm going to open up, and let's see what I have here on the desktop. I don't have my index.html file, but I should have one here. Hopefully I do. There's an index, so let's copy that. And then let's paste it out to the desktop, and then let's open it up. All right, now, again, simple website, that's fine. I don't care about the reset and the style. I'll have a main section in here, but let's just get rid of all this, and we're going to keep this real simple, all right? Like I said, the idea with this is to keep this literally as simplistic as we possibly can, all right? So as we go through different topics in the chapter, I'll go back and write some associated code, all right? First thing we talk about here is the equality operator. Double equals and exclamation point equal. Well, I want to show you something that you may or you may not be aware of. All right, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in, I'll tell you what, let's do everything. We're going to say here, unload equal main. We'll put everything in a main function. Oops. All right, I'll get rid of the main that's in here. It's not the same main, of course. And we won't even have anything in here whatsoever. All right, but I will quickly create function main. Now, what I'm telling you in here is this stuff that's here may or may not make sense to you. That's what I'm saying. So I'm going to say here var age equals 21. Okay, then I'm going to say var age equals double quote 21 double quote, and we'll call this age 1. We'll call this age 2. All right, and you might think, well, they're not equal. One's a number and one's a string. Well, let's find out. If age 1 is equal to age 2, let's put an alert here that says alert, the 2 ages are equal. else we'll put an alert that says the two ages are not. And here we'll say are. All right, so let's save this. We'll call this right on the desktop script.js. So there's our file. Make it a little bigger so it's easier for you to see. And then let's put a script tag in here. We shouldn't need any jQuery, at least for now. So I'm just going to take that line of jQuery and comment that out. It's kind of extraneous right there since we're not using it. All right. And here we're just going to put script.js. Okay. So let's see if we have any magic. Well, it's not doing anything, which I was not expecting, but that's okay. Okay, there it is. Onload is main. Should have been calling main. And main was function main. That all looks okay. Let's try this. Let's copy that here, and where we were putting that in here, let's just throw this into some script tags. And let's literally just throw that code in here. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to get rid of this onload equal main. I'm trying to put it in line. I'm having a brain fart this morning. I apologize for that. Not sure why this isn't working. Let's get rid of that. And let's try that and see if that works a little better. Well, it's not doing the flaming thing. Script, function main. That probably would help. That might have been why it wasn't working. I don't know. Wasn't it? Go back to what we had before, with the onload equal. Let's see if we can call main again. I'm going to grab the code that we had in here, cut it out, put it in here. That is, there's nothing wrong with the code there that I can see. Everything looks like it's lined up, etc. So this is on the desktop. That is desktop. That is desktop. Okay. Figure out why that wouldn't work. And magically it does. The two ages are equal. All right. Why did it say that this was equal to this when one is a string and one is a number? Well, what happens is JavaScript likes to compare apples with apples. So it basically promotes this to be a number. It's checking the value as opposed to the type. If I wanted to check both the value and the type of variable, I use a triple equal sign. All right, so notice when I run this now with a triple equal sign, where previously it said they were equal, now it says they're not equal. All right, now that was a lot longer than I'd planned on having it show you, but the point is, what I wanted to show you, what I'm trying to get across here, is The standard equality operator just checks the values. It doesn't check the data types. All right? So typically, when you want to check the data type also, you use the identity operator. All right? So that's a triple equal sign for equal and inequality rather than it being a exclamation point equal. It's an exclamation point equal equal. I think I kind of beat that to death. All right, so I showed you the equality operators. Okay, the system is trying to do type coercion, and it's trying to actually make your life easier by comparing apples with apples. So I showed you how to get around that by using the triple equal operator, because the equality operators perform type coercion when necessary. And what that means is they convert the data from one type to the other. For example, they convert strings to numbers before you do the comparison. The identity operators do not perform type coercion. If two operands are of different types, they will always be false. All right? All right. Now, the break statement. So let's look at the break statement, and I'm going to, rather again than using their example, I'm going to put in my own. All right? So as I get done with different things in here, I'm just going to comment them out. All right, so I'm going to make a very quick var LCV, equals 1, while LCV is less than or equal to 10, and all I'm going to do is an alert. It's going to be a little redundant, but that's okay, and I'm going to have it say the current value of LCV is LCV, and I have to make sure I add 1 to it so I eventually fall out of my loop. All right, so this is the whole thing. Ideally, what this is going to say when I run it is I'm going to have 10 different alerts. It'll say the current value of LCV is 1, the current value of LCV is 2, all the way up through the current value of LCV is 10, and then it'll get me out. So let's see if that works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, done. All right. Let's suppose, though, that when we hit 7, we want to leave the loop. All right, so it's giving us the current value, and I'm going to say here, if LCV equal, I'm going to use the triple equal sign. If it equals 7, break. That literally means if it equals that, get the hell out. So it should print here, it should give me 7 alerts. The current value of LCV is 1, is 2, is 3, is 4, etc. All right? But after the 7th, it should just stop. We are telling it to prematurely leave the while loop with a break statement. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm out. All right? On the other hand, rather than using that, I'm going to change this to continue. All right? So it'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then when it's equals 7, okay? In fact, let's move this plus plus up. Okay, let's look at the difference. Remember, when we did the break, let's go back and make this a break. All right, just so you see, nothing fancy up my sleeve that I'm doing here. So let's run this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now it did it at 6 because it added 1 to it. It was equal to 7, so it got out. But let's change this from break to continue so you can see the difference between them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, that didn't work, right, did it? Oh, actually it did. It did. Because it said to skip the rest. Let's move this back down again. I'm sorry. All right, as we had it before. And let's first make it a break. as we had previously, and run it one more time. Then we'll change that break to a continue so you can see the difference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm out. All right, change that back to the word continue. Run it again. Watch closely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, and I'm in an infinite loop. And the reason that I'm in that infinite loop right now is what's happening is it's never getting down to this line right here that says plus plus. So how can I get around that? Well, what if I do this? What if I don't want this plus plus statement even in here? Now, if I do it like that, I'm going to get an error. I'm going to be in an infinite loop, and I don't want that. But what if I do this? I'm going to say here LCV plus plus, and I'm going to put it right in my condition. All right, let's make this a break. All right. And let's see what that does. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 7, 7. Oh, it gave me another. Was that a break? Okay, it didn't like me doing the plus plus like this, so let's go back. We'll put it in here. LCV plus plus, and I know how we'll fix this. I'm going to put a couple alerts. Alert, hello. Alert, goodbye. You'll see why I'm doing this. As always, when I'm doing something, it may not seem like it makes a lot of sense, but hopefully afterward it will. All right, so Chrome, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It still is giving me that. Why am I getting that? Because I didn't save. Thought that output looked funky. 1, hello, goodbye. All right, let's look at their examples because mine evidently stink. When you put a break statement in a loop, what happens is when it hits that, it completely leaves the loop. It's a way to get you out. On the other hand, when you use a continue, I guess I should have used their example here. In fact, let's try their example that they've got right here with a continue, and let's try it with both a break and with a continue so we can see if we can see the difference. All right, I'm sure their example has to be better than that putsy thing that I just put in here, okay? All right, so. Okay, so I'm going to put in here an alert, and this alert is going to say, alert, the number is divisible by 5. All right, so let's look. Hopefully I didn't screw it up. So let's save this, go back and run this. Give me a flippin' break. Guess I should have looked at whatever was left in here. All right, hopefully that's everything. In fact, let's get rid of what we put in there before. We don't really need that anymore. All right, Save. Go back. Run this. The number 5 is divisible by 5. 10 is divisible by 5. 15 is divisible by 5. 20 is divisible by 5. The point is, what we're doing here is we're showing all the numbers between 5 and 40 that are divisible by 5, but the continue says, if that is not the case, continue, which means skip this stuff. All right? So this should show us 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40. And I guess I prematurely myself got out of there, so let's see if it does that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and we're out. On the other hand, had we done something like this, we're going to get wrong output, but just to show you the difference. All right, had we come in here and said, if the number divided by 5, if that is not equal to 0, all right, break, all right, you're going to notice just how small our output is going to be. None is pretty small. Why? Because the first time through there, number was 0. 0 modulo 5 is not equal to 0, so we just broke out right away. It was actually doing exactly what we told it to do. Let's set this to 5 to begin with. All right. And let's see when we do that, if we do get it to just show 5, and then it poops out. We're not getting anything. While number less than or equal to 40, and it is. Oh, we're saying number plus plus here, so let's make it 4. This is how you learn. You know, am I frustrated? Not at all. This is the fun stuff. This is how you learn how to do this. So what are we doing here? We're setting number equal to 4. All right? 4 is less than or equal to 40, so we add 1 to it. Is 5 divisible by 5? Yes, it is. So we don't do the if, we break. We come back up, we add 1 more to it, now it's 6. 6 modulo 5 is 1, so that's not 0, so we just break. All right? The way that you will learn this stuff is to sit and practice like I'm doing right now. That's all. Switch. Here's a letter grade. Let's put that in. So let's use that example. Looking at it very quickly, which is what I just did, it looks like it'll work just fine. So let's go back into our program. All right. So we're going to switch on letter grade. So let's make the grade, we'll make it an A. Oops. Var letter grade. Should be a big G. Let's say the person is, we'll give them a C. Okay? So when we run this, it should come in and say average. If we did it right. And it didn't say anything, so let's check why. Because we never told it to print anything. All right, so let's print the message. All right, in fact, let's come in here and let's move this all over a bit. That looks better. And now we're going to say alert message. This should work just fine, and it should just say average if I did it correctly. Average. I could go back and do it again, and instead of setting it to C, we could set it to B. Run the program again. And now it's above average. All right, okay. I can do it again. I could set it to any of the grades. Okay, what if I set it to X? Okay, I'm purposely setting it to something that wasn't in there. So it comes out and it says invalid grade. Where did it get that from? This is like a long-winded if statement. So this is like saying if letter grade equal A, message equal this, else if letter grade equal B, message equal this, else if letter grade equal C, message equal this, else if letter grade equal D, message is this, else if letter grade is F, message is this, else this. That's the one that hit when I put an X in there. Okay? This is called a switch statement. This is the expression you're doing the switch on. You'll notice it can be a character, or really a string here. It can be a number. There's all sorts of things that it can be. All right? This break statement in there is put in so you don't have what's called a fall through. If I did this, watch what happens. I'm commenting out every break statement that's in here. I'm doing this on purpose. All right, now I'm going to set the letter grade to an A. You may or may not be able to guess what's happening here. All right, so let's take a look. In fact, it's not going to show because it's just going to keep overwriting message. So I'm going to say here it equals that. Let me put in here plus equals. All right. And the output, if it comes out the way I think it will, it's going to look a little funky. So let's see. Let's put a couple. How about a \T? I think that'll work, but we're going to find out. That \T might not work. I'm trying to put a tab in between each one of these. So let's try it. If they all run together, it didn't work. It didn't. All right. So it doesn't like the tabs. So we'll just replace those tabs. With let's try BR tags. Well, I should have done that, as you can see. Now I've got a ton of BR tags all over the place in this document. Let's remove them. All right. Doesn't like this because it doesn't like, so let's just change this to BR. I have to manually do this. Sorry, it's taking a little more time. All right, now let's run it. What I wanted to show you was that it did fall through. It doesn't like those either. But notice it says well above average, average, failing, and invalid grade. So the bottom line is this. If you do not put in the break statements, it falls through and it keeps going and going and going. Now, will it work if I put in a \N here? Some JavaScript statements require that you put in HTML, and some require that you put in JavaScript stuff in here. There we go. So it printed out everything. Well above average, average, failing, and invalid grade. And it printed out each and every one of those because we didn't have the break statement in there. All right, so it just kept going. All right. All right, I'm at 30 minutes already. I'm spending way too much time on this, but you know what? I love doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm only 10 slides in, and see if I hit any more on here. We'll come back and we'll look at the syntax of the conditional operator in just a moment.